I want younger attorneys to know there is a real struggle to growth. Social media is giving you highlights. I've learned attorneys lie or they fabricate or they exaggerate. And I think that does a disservice to the rest of the legal world. If you're bringing in 5, 10 cases, you're 2-3 years opening your firm, bro, bravo to you. Don't think you have to be at 100 cases right away.
Welcome to the Tip the Scales podcast, where we discuss running and growing your law firm. I'm your host, Maria Monroy, president and co-founder of LawRank. Today, I am joined by Mo Ramadan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. English is my second language, though you guys know I struggle with last names. I'm super excited about this episode because Mo is one of those people that is so chill, to the point, blunt, doesn't get offended easily, and him and I just get along really, really well. We talked about having your base of clients, the large growth that he has gone through since the last time we spoke, focusing on intake and operations. Mo was one of the first clients that I've ever had that said, I'm going to set up an intake team before signing with you. We also had an earthquake happen during this episode. We were in Huntington Beach for TLU. Mo sat through this like nothing was happening, and I was like, oh my God, this is an earthquake. And he's like, is that what this is? I hope that you guys enjoy this episode.
A lot of lawyers, I don't want to say majority, but a lot of them suck on the business side.
Most suck on the business.
They
I have
do.
no issue saying that. I just think it's like, I always say this, people are probably like, shut the fuck up, Maria, but it's so hard to be good at trial, and it's so hard to be good at the business side. So it's
You can't do both.
Be really good at both. It's unrealistic.
It's impossible. It's 100% possible. I will say this on the record. Anybody wants to have this discussion or debate, I will do it anytime.
I'll give you his cell phone number, just DM me.
This is why I changed. I'm not in court anymore. I haven't been in court probably 2-3 years.
And how's it going?
Great. We've grown exponentially because
What's the percentage of growth?
It depends how you quantify that. Growth is not always about numbers, right? Growth for me includes firm culture, the staff you bring in, your brand. A lot of those things matter.
Sure, but when I ask you, I mean numbers. Like, have you doubled?
Oh, no, we've been more than double since the last time we talked. I was getting, honestly, probably 3 to 4 new cases a month when we first talked.
I know.
We're easily 20, 25.
That's amazing. So
and that's with you guys just starting to cook. Like,
oh, you just wait.
Yeah, LawRank is not even.
No, but you're doing, like, your rankings are really good.
We are. I mean, a lot of it is LSA right now, but my staff feels it. I can tell you that they hate you, which is a good sign. They told me to tell you today they hate you.
I'm so used to people hating me, not even staffs, but just like people in general.
No, they actually like you because you always pick on me, so they love that.
You need to be picked on. Somebody needs to pick on you.
I get picked on enough.
We don't need your ego to grow. We gotta keep that in check.
My ego's good. You need a little confidence.
I agree. You need the
in this industry, they will eat you up and spit you out.
Oh, in this industry, you don't have an ego. You? Egoless in comparison to the rest of your fucking peers.
Thank you. I like that. But I don't make as much money as them yet. So we'll see. You bring me back in 2 years, we'll see what my ego is.
I will check you. No way.
No, I'm not. I'm very happy where we're at, and I don't watch others. I really don't. I watch others in a positive way.
I love watching others. Like, I love to see what people, it's like motivating to see what people can do. It's expanding.
I watch other good attorneys who I like, who I admire, who I want to see what
you don't watch
doing.
The haters.
I think too many lawyers try to copy, and I think that's where they screw up. Because I can't do what some lawyers do, but some lawyers can't do what I do, right? Mm-hmm. So stay in my lane. And if I could learn from another attorney, I incorporate the concept and bring it back to my brand. And I think what I've done well is, for better or worse, some people like it, some people don't, is I've stayed true to who I am. And it's done well for me. And some people, a lot of lawyers are scared to just be themselves. They want to be somebody else, or they want to follow this path, or they want to follow with this lawyer. Well, that lawyer did it 20 years ago, bro. It's a different era. You can't do what, Alex, Shannara, and some of these guys did. You got to have a different game.
I love Alex.
I love Alex. Alex is the best. And I learned a lot from Alex, but I know I can't do what Alex did.
You're not Alex. That doesn't resonate with me. Like, I don't know how to be anything other than me, for better or worse.
Right. And a lot of lawyers don't, and I don't know why that is. And that's my biggest issue with the legal
Do you
world.
think it's like a new thing? Do you think it's also
No.
do you think it's fueled by social media though?
Is it what?
Fueled. Like, is
No,
social
I think
media making it worse?
it's making it better.
Better?
Yes.
How so?
Because
I don't agree.
law school teaches you to be vanilla, don't have personality, don't show
We
that.
talked about this last time.
But social media has now allowed certain attorneys to show their personality, show
Yeah.
who they are.
I see that. But don't you think other attorneys also seeing that? They're like, oh, I want to be like that person or
Yes.
that. And it's like so much more access to people's day to day that I think that impacts it. But I want to talk about what's happened since the last time you were on this podcast. I definitely recommend that you listen to our last episode where I think we were shit talking or you were shit talking.
Yeah, it was a little bit about my story, my come up, and then we just kind of talked about the legal world and kind of, I think a lot of lawyers just have issues that they need to change personality wise. But yeah, it was a good conversation.
Yeah. So tell me now what has transpired in the past year and a half.
So I mean, we grew a lot.
What's a lot?
I went from me and one paralegal to now 6 plus an intern plus me. I have a veteran attorney now who handles all our litigation. I no longer practice a day to day. I still practice. I still do.
You don't litigate. I get it.
I don't litigate anymore. Thank God.
And how many cases are you getting now versus before?
I mean, before I was literally getting maybe 3 or 5 because I was purely organic. I did no marketing, paid marketing.
He doesn't mean organic SEO for the record.
No, organic, literally boots on the ground.
Grassroots.
Let me get your case.
And now how many cases are you getting?
I mean, if we hit less than 2025, it's a bad month now.
Okay. That's crazy. That's like more than quadrupled.
Yes. And
Congrats.
a lot of it, and again, with LawRank, we just started recently. So part of it is that, part of it, our brand has grown. And part of it is just really the referrals coming back. I take pride in the fact that our clients know we actually really genuinely care. And I know that might sound simple, but clients know that a lot of lawyers don't really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they know when they do. And the best, when I get calls, and I get them all the time now, is, man, my friend said you guys are awesome and you guys really genuinely care and you're going to help me out. Sure. And we're honest with clients. I don't take everything. We're very selective. I can easily bring in 30, 40 a month if I wanted to.
Do you refer the ones that you don't take?
I try to. I don't do med mail no more. I kick all those out. I hate med mail. And these are real numbers, by the way. That's another problem. Lawyers lie all the time.
You don't exaggerate.
I don't need to because I'm happy with where I'm at. And I want younger attorneys to know there is a real struggle to growth because, social media is giving you highlights and they see all these other attorneys. Attorneys lie. I'm sorry. I will say this on the record. And you might agree, disagree. I've learned attorneys lie or they fabricate or they exaggerate. And I think that does a disservice to the rest of the legal world.
I think everybody lies, dude. I don't think it's like something that is attorney specific. I just think a lot of people lie. Well,
yeah. But I think the lies are to gloat. And it does a disservice to the legal world.
I agree. And it's like something I actually tell my kids, like, if you cheat on a game and you win, why would that feel good?
It shouldn't.
Like, it's something that I don't understand. And I think I've had people tell me, like, you're actually too honest. Like, you don't have to be so blunt. But
I hate that. That's today's society. You can't. I've had people say, oh, you're so full of. I'm like, I'm just in my space minding my business. And if I'm not talking or I'm not doing anything, you're this or that. I just think people these days want to be coddled too much. But I grew up in a different era and
Well, you're an immigrant, right?
I was just going to say, I grew up in an immigrant household.
It's different.
It's different. We weren't coddled. And I grew up in the south side of Chicago. Like, you can't be coddled. Like, it's just, but I think it's a generational thing.
But I don't think everyone lies. I think some people lie, but I don't think everyone lies.
No, I didn't say everyone. I just said a lot of lawyers lie.
I'm sure they do. I mean,
and I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. What it does bother me is when I talk to younger attorneys, I hate when they say, oh my God, I'm so behind, or, oh my God, I can't, I'm not doing with this. And then I talk to them about their numbers. I'm like, dude, you're doing really good. if you're bringing in 5, 10 cases, you're 2, 3 years opening your firm, bro, bravo to you. Don't think you have to be at 100 cases right away. That's why I'm open. Some lawyers are like, oh, you're only doing 20, 25? Yeah, well, that's where I'm at right now. I'm okay with that because my staff does well. I do well. I'm happy with where we're at. I'm only 39. So
I love the only.
Yeah, I'm going to say only 39.
Thank you for making me feel young.
But I mentor a lot, especially minority attorneys. I'm very big on that because a lot of us didn't have those networks of people to go. I didn't have any lawyers to talk to. I didn't have anyone to go to.
But now you have friends in the space, right?
I got a ton. And now I get to use my network to help, other attorneys. And that's something I'm doing a lot more now because.
Locally or nationally?
Both. My DMs are always flooded and I always answer.
Because you're active on social.
I'm active and I'm honest. The number one response I get is, dude, like, thank you for being real about that. Or like,
I get that a lot too. You've said that to me.
Yes. And that's how we first met. That's why you and I clicked because, when I started getting serious about SEO, you and I became friends before the business side. But, when it came to make a decision and I was ready for SEO, the biggest thing for me was I know Maria's not going to bullshit me. And in this industry, a lot of vendors, I don't want to use the word bullshit you.
No, that's the right word.
But they sell you. And
No, they bullshit you.
You know my number one rule.
Not everyone. But
not everyone, but a lot of them do.
99% in my opinion.
And you know my number one rule, Maria, don't sell me. I'm not a sucker, right? Like, just tell me what you provide, what you can do, and what you bring to the table. And, we'll decide there. And your honesty was the first thing that led me to you. Before I even met you, it was a podcast. You were honest on a podcast.
Yeah, with Bob, right?
With Bob. And that's when I was like, you know what? I like this lady. She's just telling, because they were all kind of dancing around things, and Maria just comes and.
I don't know how to, I know I'm not for everyone. I'm okay with that. But I don't know. I don't know how to not be. I just get bored. I don't like, I feel like to dance around or sugarcoat is like boring to me.
It is. And it's disingenuous and it's just not who you are.
And it's too much work.
It is. It really is. It's a good point.
And it's like boring work. Like I'm just like, here you go, take it or leave it.
But you hit on a note that I totally agree with, and I think lawyers can learn from that. Not everyone's for you.
Oh, I know.
Too many lawyers want everyone to love them, and I want all these clients. Like, dude, there's some clients who might see my content and say, dude, fuck this guy, right?
And you're okay with that?
And I'm totally fine with that because there's another 10 that say, yo, I rock with you. I like that. I like how you talk. And I grew up similar to you. Or, I represent a certain people. I know who I represent. And, I always say one of our slogans is we represent the hard knocks and the have-nots because that's what me and my staff grew up around. We can speak their language because a lot of lawyers can't speak their language. And that's our purpose. It's yes, we all want to make money. We all want to bring cases, but there's more to it than that. And for us, we represent a certain part of certain communities who feel very comfortable coming to us because, and this is from clients who say, man, I know I can talk to you. I'm like really comfortable talking to you. That meant a lot to me because that was one of the big reasons I started my law firm is helping people that never had access to good legal work. And if they did, they were taken advantage of.
Now, I have a question for you. So besides LawRank, because I don't want it to sound like I have you on to sell for me or anything like that, right? What else do you attribute your growth to? So what are some of the things you have done to get where you are today? So
social media is one. That's my bread and butter. That's how I started my firm.
So let's take a pause. When you say social media, that can mean 1,000 different things. What do you mean?
So for me, let me give you a perfect example. So for me, Instagram is my number one. Now
Instagram and you do. Go ahead.
Instagram, TikTok are my two core.
So are we talking about TikToks and Reels, or are we talking about Reels and Insta Stories?
Both.
Okay,
so,
all three.
But here's the key that a lot of lawyers miss. I've always engaged. I answer every DM, even if it's a stupid question or they want to. I got people that, message me that talk about random shit, but I still respond to them. And then You know how many times I've had people I've never met in my life who follow me on Instagram who have sent me clients just because I built the relationship with them. And I became the go-to person for that one person. But what people miss is that one person knows 100 people. So they're walking billboards for me. Everywhere they go, they tell people, hey, oh, you're going to exit? Man, call this guy. He knows what he's talking about. So I have I'm a little under 10,000 followers on Instagram. I have lawyer friends who have 100 plus. I get more cases from Instagram than they ever do.
And tell me, what type of content do you post?
I've gotten to the point now I just talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about.
Like whatever's on your mind.
Whatever's on my mind, whether it's legal, whether it's just how to run your firm. I've noticed, and from DMs and stuff, people want to know more about running their firms because, again, lawyers are not honest with them. So they want to know, how do you run your firm? How do you build your team? Because when lawyers come to my office and they see how great my team works together and how much we like each other and we built this kind of culture, a lot of lawyers don't know how to build firm culture and they don't understand how important firm culture is. It's extremely important to growth because the way they treat your clients leads to referrals. So if your staff is just kind of half-assing it, you're not going to get referrals.
Or reviews.
Or reviews, which
you know how I feel
know.
about that.
Yes.
And you called me out on social media, which was like really messed up. Tell everybody what you did.
What did I do?
You don't remember?
I call you out a lot.
You were like, can you please leave me a review? Yeah, tell everybody.
Hey, it worked. I got like 3 reviews out of it.
Yeah.
I said, hey, Maria's yelling at me, guys. I need some reviews.
You didn't say it that politely.
Sometimes we might jab at each other jokingly.
All the time.
Yeah.
But I do that with a lot of people.
You know how people
You do
are.
the same thing.
I'm fine with it. I just think people are uptight and they might see it that way. But
I really don't care.
people know I do. I'm a big LawRank fan. I am. And I'll tell you why. And I've had lawyer friends like, why are you always talking about LawRank? And I'm like, Maria's done a lot for me. Okay. And I'll say this. You actually believed in me before a lot of others did. You took a chance on me. I'll say this on camera.
I think you took a chance on me.
Yes, but I wasn't at the caliber of your normal clients that you sign. And you told me, and I brought that up to you, and I said, Maria, I'm not where your standard is. And you said, I believe in you. I know you'll get there, and I'm going to basically take the chance. That's why I'm loyal to you. Loyalty is a big thing for me. You were loyal to me, so I give my loyalty back. And I think loyalty is a dying thing these days. I think it's a fickle thing. But the way I grew up, if someone's loyal to you, you show it tenfold. And you took a chance on me, and it's doing well. And we're going to really rock Chicago. So I'm very confident in it, but I'm also thankful.
I'm thankful.
So for all those that ask me, why am I always talking about LawRank or, I'm shouting out Maria, that's why. Because when someone believes in you and someone takes a chance on you and builds you up, you should reciprocate it.
So are most of your cases that come from social media, are they coming from other lawyers like the way Joe Volta does it? Or because you talked about like running your firm and you're posting that on social. So
I get some, but definitely not like Joe. I don't like that model. You just cut too much in referral fees. I get some, but no, it's mostly regular people.
Okay. So, and how did they end up following you? Do you know?
No, I mean, honestly, a lot of them will tell you just keep it real. You're very Chicago. I mean, people know I'm from Chicago. You just know. If you're from Chicago, you'll know who's from Chicago, who's not. So I think that resonates with people. I'm younger. The way I do things is different than some other attorneys, which attracts some people. Chicago's a very blue-collar city. So the one thing about Chicago is you don't bullshit people there. It's no offense, Cali, but it's not Hollywood. You can't bullshit people. We're a very blue-collar city.
Is it very New York?
No.
What's the difference?
It's a cleaner, friendlier New York.
Okay. So what's the other trick?
Community engagement. That is the one thing lawyers suck at. That is a huge tool. Now, I'll give you an example. So it's just something I like to do. So I've always done it. But I'll give you one good example. I'm a big believer that every person should have access to food.
Of course.
Food is a human right to me.
Yes.
But not everybody has that. So because of that, I know a couple food pantries that I grew up around So I started helping one of them out. I helped them out just to help them out. Long story short, we helped them out. They stayed open during COVID. So I built a good relationship with them. In 1 year, they sent me maybe 5 cases. And they were very good cases. And it got to the point where 2 of those cases, they signed with another firm. They made them fire that lawyer and come hire me. And the reason I tell that story is why? When someone is housing you and feeding you and helping you pay your bills when you don't have a lot of money, they have 100% credibility with that person. So I bet 100% with every referral from that food pantry, because anybody that they send to me is basically signed before they even call me, because the person that they sent them is helping them out. So now when you have 10, 15, 20 different organizations that you help out, and they're all sending you referrals, it starts to add up. And those are low cost acquisition, meaning people think you have to go give them $100,000. You don't. Sometimes you give them a $200 check, $500 check. But you know what they want more than anything? Just show up. Go to their events. If they need help with a lease review, just fucking review the lease for them. You know, it doesn't take a lot of work. And then all of a sudden, they're sending you a ton of people. Like, so Chicago's a very neighborhood-based city, right? And in every neighborhood in Chicago, there's those 1, 2, or 3 people who basically do everything for the communities. Everybody knows who these people are in that community. You need housing, they're going to help you. If you have access to food, you need to get a job, you need a ride somewhere, anything, there's always 2 or 3 people in each community that really does those things. So what I do is I find those 2 or 3 people. I literally just hit them up, or if I know someone that knows them, and I text them, I'm a lawyer, I'd like to meet, see how we can contribute to your cause. And that leads to plenty of leads. So you become that neighborhood's attorney now. And then you go to the next neighborhood, and then this neighborhood, and then that neighborhood.
How many neighborhoods have you gone into?
I mean, you know, again, I'm from Chicago, so I'm pretty embedded. I mean, easily 10, 15 neighborhoods just off the top of my head were anything.
And you also moved into a new office, right?
We just built out our brand new office from scratch. So it took me months. It drove me nuts because, you know, you're trying to negotiate a settlement with an adjuster, you're responding to your staff, and then your GC calls us, what color vanity do you want? You know, did you pick out your paint colors? And, you know, come look at the floor to make sure, you know, it's a tough transition to go from negotiating and running a law firm to designing. Now, luckily, my wife has great taste. So at some point, all design just went to her, and she did an amazing job, which I should have did that earlier in the process. But I'm a very, like you, I like to control everything.
Oh, hello. I never said that. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Why am I being attacked?
So
I don't like to control everything, Matt. Do I like to control everything?
So I should have relinquished some that earlier, but yeah, it's a brand new 3,000 square foot office. So what I did there is 2,000 is our actual office, 1,000 square foot is our new creator space.
So for content and stuff?
Content and client and community engagement. So I throw parties there. We're going to have events there.
Can I record my podcast there when I'm there?
Absolutely. I was going to tell you when you come to Chicago, we'll record.
How far is it from the conference, you know?
So that office is in the suburbs. So that's our suburban office. That's about 30, 40 minutes from there. And then we have our downtown office, which is going to be 5, 10 minutes from where you're at. That's the office LawRank made me get.
Cool. And what's in the future? What do you envision?
Short term or long term?
Year or two?
Year or two? I want to build a couple more attorneys. I want to bring in some young attorneys and really give them all the tools that they need. By this time next year, I should be completely out of day-to-day operations. That's my goal.
Do you have like a director of ops or something like
that? I do.
I
have a head of ops. She's been with me since day one. She's been with me about 7 years. We call her the real boss. She calls the shots.
Yeah, you shouldn't call the shots.
No. She's my rock star. She's my A1. She's like.
How did you find her?
So it's a funny story, actually. She started with me for like, I think $15 an hour. This is actually a great story. So I had someone, problem with them. I was flying overseas for vacation 3 weeks. I needed someone. So I remember she sent her resume when I hired the other person, but I wanted someone with experience at the time. So when I fired this person, I was scrambling. I remembered her name, Rania, and I said, hey, look, she just finished paralegal school. I said, no offense, but I want someone with experience, but I'm willing to pay you to work until I find someone, and I'll pay you cash, okay? And for a week or two until I find someone. She's like, okay, no problem. I'm literally interviewing people in front of her. And just to show you.
This is so mean.
I'm interviewing people in front of her. And then like a week goes by and I'm looking, I'm like, damn, really good. But I already offered someone the position. But here's where and I'm not a very religious person, you know this about me, but I do believe in destiny. So I sent the guy the formal offer. A day or two goes by, he doesn't respond. I didn't think nothing of it. And then she's just getting really good. I'm like, damn, I think I screwed up. So I call a lawyer friend of mine, he's a really good friend of mine. I said, hey man, I think I screwed up. You know, what do I do? I was like, I think she's good. He's like, man, don't worry. Everything will work itself out. I'm like, bro, that's not what I'm trying to hear right now. Like, give me a fucking answer.
That's like awful advice.
Yeah,
Who
it was
this?
terrible advice, but it actually
I
worked
want to have
out.
him on the podcast just to discuss his terrible advice.
So days goes by, this guy doesn't respond. I wait like a week. I email him again. I said, hey, you know what's going on? And he responds, I took another job. I'll never forget. I said, yes. I ran out. I said, hey, Rania, do you want a full-time job? She's like, yeah. I'm like, perfect. You're hired. And she's been with me ever since. My number one. She's my rock star. She's my therapist, my friend. She just sent her resume in.
Oh, okay.
So she interned for a lawyer that I knew. I called up the lawyer. I said, hey, she had your name on the resume. You know, why didn't you keep her? He's like, Mo, I'll be honest with you, she's phenomenal. I just couldn't afford her. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, that should have been enough though.
No, I was at the time
inexperienced
in running a firm.
Right, that's what I mean.
And I was still that trial guy, that lawyers in court. Like I had that mentality. So I was like, I need someone with experience. I don't have time to train.
What has that shift been like for you?
It's been amazing, honestly.
Like you like the business side better?
love it. So that's what happened about 2 years ago. Actually, right around COVID. I was getting really frustrated. I was getting tired. Yeah, keep in mind, I opened my law practice right out of law school. I started doing trials right away. So I kind of went hard right away. And I also did criminal defense first. So that kind of, drained me a little bit.
What's it like? Like when you're like, somebody might have committed a crime.
They're
like,
all guilty.
I was trying to be like really.
No, they're all guilty. I mean,
not always.
Okay, 95%.
Okay, but does that like fuck with you?
Absolutely not. Because everyone has a right to defense.
I agree with that.
That's the cornerstone of our country.
Totally. I agree with it. I obviously.
And if they're guilty, they're guilty.
But it doesn't fuck with you at all?
No, because I wouldn't take cases that would not let me sleep at night.
Okay.
Which was the only.
Yeah, I get it.
There was only one type of case I would never take.
Outside
of that.
But that's a lucrative type of case.
I still won't touch it.
A lot of crime lawyers won't
just
touch
because I just don't know, right? Like, look, I grew up around street guys, right? So for me, like, if you shot another gangbanger, the game is the game. If you get caught selling drugs, the game is the game. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, you get a DUI, whatever. Like,
it is what it is. Like, actually, I hate DUIs more than actually drug cases and all that because DUIs are actually more dangerous. But I knew for years, deep down, like, I'm tired of this shit. But not just tired of it, I really love the business side of it.
That's good.
And I was honest with myself. I said, I'm going to do what I love. Now, at the time, I couldn't because I didn't have, the staff or the lawyers to do it. But I knew my goal was, you know what? I need to get out of the day-to-day being a lawyer and being in court all the time if I want to grow this to where I think I can grow this. And I had confidence in myself that if I just had the time and the energy, I can really grow this. Like I just had that confidence. To grow a law firm, you have to have irrational confidence. Like you do. You know how hard it is to grow a law firm and sustain it. Like you can grow it, but to sustain it and continue to grow, if you don't have irrational confidence, you're not going to do it. Like you got to have stupid dreams and stupid, crazy goals. I still want to be $100 million law firm. That's my, my goal. Now, do I need to get to that? Of course not. But, what's that saying? If your dreams don't scare you, get, bigger dreams. I really believe in that because I shouldn't have even been a lawyer, right? So for me, it's like I'm playing with house money. I already made it this far and I do well up to this point. I'm really happy with where we're at. Why not keep going? So I made a decision at one point. I love the content creation. I love the business side. I love, I can talk to you about intake for hours, but talk to me about deposition.
I remember when before you signed up with us, you were like, Maria, I need to get intake down first, which I appreciated because I was like, it's, as everyone knows, one of my pet peeves. It's just
It's all about intake. Everything's about intake. Your whole law firm is based on intake. I'm like, my staff, trust me, they hate me because all it's about intake. That's the lifeline of your firm. I don't care. The problem with lawyers is, especially trial lawyers, I'm a big, bad trial lawyer. Well, big, bad trial lawyer, if you don't get cases, you can't be a big, bad trial lawyer.
That's what I tell people about like billboards. So many trial lawyers are like, I won't do billboards because of this or that. And I'm like, well, if you want to help more people, somebody was like shit talking Top Dog the other day on Facebook. Did you see that post?
No.
I mean, I get it if they are correct with what they're saying, but there was a lot of comments on like, it's just a cheesy way to try to get cases. And I'm like, look, if it works and like your whole goal is to help more people, I just don't know what to tell you. Like, I
need to speak on that because I am sick of the Top Dog hate. I am so sick of it. Okay.
I didn't know what you were going to say.
Huh?
I didn't know if you were going to shit talk Top Dog.
No, I am so sick of that. I don't know why he gets singled out. There's plenty of lawyers that do other cornier shit.
Because he's fucking killing it.
Exactly. They're scared of Top Dog.
I could see that.
Top Dog's in Chicago. And you know what I did when I met him? I clapped. Hey, bro, you came in and killed it. And guess what? I'm not worried about it. And not in an arrogant way. Bro, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, guys, okay? In the third largest city in America. If you're scared of one lawyer coming into your city, that means your firm is shit. That's just how I see it. If you're confident enough in your work, you're not worried about a Top Dog. You're not worried about a Morgan & Morgan. You could bring me every top law firm in America, bring them into Chicago tomorrow. I would not flinch. I won't. So this whole idea that Top Dog is...
But you don't flinch at all.
At all.
Why?
Because I have my base. You can't touch my base.
Okay, your base, but like, you don't think it impacts your ability to grow?
No.
At the same rate? So you think that they don't impact the market, period?
I didn't say they didn't impact the market.
But then that impacts your business.
Not my business. I'm that confident in what I'm doing because
But I can't follow your logic because, so let's say that I still think obviously you can grow, whatever. But I have to believe that if somebody comes and takes a large piece of the pie, it's shrinking your piece.
They're not taking a large piece of the pie. They're just taking a piece of the pie.
But you don't think it impacts your piece of the pie?
Mine, no. I don't, because I just think we're so ingrained in certain communities. And I'm just so confident in.
But what about your ability to grow though? Because like you're not going to be able to put all your eggs in one, and you don't, all your eggs in one basket in this like community thing that you're doing, right? Eventually you might have to go and do billboards or do radio or do
Well, no,
TV.
that's why we started Google though, right?
Right. But then eventually that will you will cap out at some point. And I will be honest with you. I'll be like, hey, Mo, you're not going to
we talked about that before I even signed up.
You're not going to get more than this. And then you're going to have to either expand digitally, right? Which I'm sure we'll do. But like Brian White, he went and he did the billboards and he did the Carvana and he did like the social, and he did all sorts of shit, right? And like that's what's allowed him to get to where he is today, right? And he's like blowing up like psycho. So, but you don't think that like that, like I guess if like Top Dog went into Houston, do you think it would take a piece of Brian White's pie?
I don't. I don't.
They are limited. Like there's a limited amount of cases, and
guys,
and Top Dog, to use him as an example, if he comes in, he's taking cases that would have gone to other firms. So I just don't follow the logic.
And I'll tell you why. Because lawyers who actively market like myself should not be worried of a Top Dog or a Morgan coming. The lawyers who are trial lawyers who don't want to market, who don't want to advertise, that's who's going to get affected because they're working off referrals and other attorneys sending them cases.
I see what you mean.
They should be scared. But my point is, you should be so confident in your own brand that I don't care who comes into your city. If you focus on yourself, there's plenty of business. Also depends what you want, right? I don't want to be a national law firm. I've had people say, well, attorneys of Chicago, what if you go to another state? I'm not.
It's just you're in a huge city.
Exactly. I'm not in a small town. So if I ever get the chance to dominate Chicago, I'm okay with that. I have zero plans or zero appetite to go and expand into other cities the same way some of these other guys are. But I think the lawyers who don't market, who don't advertise, who don't engage, they're the ones that should be worried about Top Dog. But it's, the whole Top Dog thing is lawyers are such fucking losers. Like, they're haters. They're just like, dude is doing his thing. He's not bothering no one. If you ever met Top Dog, he's the nicest guy in the world. I just don't get it. It's pure hate. It's pure jealousy, pure hate. You can discuss, is it cheesy or corny? Maybe, I don't know. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Well, and I think if anybody can, the thing that irks me about the hate is that just because he markets a certain way doesn't mean that you have to market that way. And it's kind of like to each their own. It's like
Top Dog Get You Top Dollar is a phenomenal punchline, bro.
And he's young.
It's a great punchline.
He's like,
and I see him everywhere in Chicago. So
I see him. I saw him everywhere.
Here's what people miss with the Top Dog hate. The guy's not an idiot. He's very strategic, guys. I've seen him come into Chicago firsthand. He went from not being in there at all to being there now. I have friends dude, who the fuck is this guy? They'll call me who's this Top Dog guy? I'm like, yeah, he's a cool dude, more power to him. And they're just like, he's everywhere. I'm like, yeah, that's how you do it. If you're going to come into a market, Top Dog is the way to do it. I'm sorry. He's built the blueprint on coming into a market and just absolutely flooding it. Now, Lerner & Rowe did that. They did that in Chicago 5 years ago or 6 years ago, however it is. He was on your podcast. That was a great podcast.
Thank you.
And one thing I love that he said that I think people can learn, I think he spent $10 million to come into Chicago. He said it took him 4 years to make that back. Okay. That's balls.
I know.
That's strategy.
I know.
That's, and people say that about Lerner & Rowe. He's corny. He's this, he's that. But you don't see the behind the scenes stuff. I know lawyers that get cases from Top Dog. They will tell you, bro, it could be 10 o'clock at night. Top Dog will FaceTime this client to get him to sign up. Top Dog will answer his phone, James, And you don't see the behind the scenes stuff because you're so worried about this corny slogan that you think is corny, but you don't see that Top Dog is putting in work behind the scenes. He's putting in money. He's putting in effort. It takes a lot of money to enter a new market, especially a big market like Chicago. So instead of learning from that and embracing that, and his story is amazing, guys. So this is my overall problem with the legal world. Just because it's Top Dog's story or his advertising is not what it's traditionally been, it's a problem. That's the issue that I have with it. I've had that said about me. I've had a lawyer locally say, tell Mo stop making rap videos and get back to work. I've had a lawyer say that.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not surprised at all.
And my response to him is, in a third of the time, I've already tripled your law firm. So basically, sit down. Don't worry about me. That's my issue, though. It's coming from the older lawyers, Maria. No young lawyer.
No, I've heard it from.
Really?
I've heard it from. Yeah, not old lawyers.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I find that surprising. I don't.
I just think that there is this thing where it's the trial lawyers that were serious and we don't go down that route, and then there are the big advertisers that go down that route. And there's a very clear divide between the two. Not always, because some people can kind of bridge the gap. You have some advertisers that have litigators in-house and like maybe do it in a way that's more acceptable to the trial community. But there is definitely this, there's this stigma that comes with
Why should I give a shit what
advertising.
the trial community says?
I'm not saying that
No,
you
no,
should.
I'm not saying it to you, but I hear that a lot. And my response is, why do I give a shit what other litigators think about my law firm? My goal and my responsibility is my clients.
Yeah.
It's not other litigators. That's the problem with lawyers. They always want to worry about what other litigators saying. I don't give a goddamn what this Joe Schmo
Well,
litigator
see,
says.
that's not my issue. My issue is like,
Lawyers care about image a lot, Maria. That's the problem.
I know. And that's like Top Dog says, and he said it on my podcast, he thinks reputation's not a thing. He's like, it's just not a thing. Whereas every single trial lawyer, and I don't want to go down that route right now, but every single trial lawyer, at least most, are very much like, well, we can't advertise because, you know, our brand is this way and our reputation's this way. And in my eyes, like the way that I see it is, I don't think that the average person understands that stigma.
They don't.
So I just don't get the logic behind it. As someone in marketing, like I straight up told Brian White, go do billboards. He's a trialer. Like if you're willing to put your, and is it working for him? Absolutely it works. I mean, I don't know anybody that has gone to Houston that doesn't know who the fuck Brian White is.
And here's the issue, Maria. This is my biggest problem with the legal world, with these trial attorneys. You forgot the essence of what a lawyer is. We're here to serve people. And these billboards give access to people who otherwise would never have access to a lawyer.
And wouldn't it be best if the people that are calling lawyers off a billboard were calling, if like a trial lawyer feels like they're the best option, like wouldn't you go put your face on a billboard? It's like,
how does Joe Schmo know you're the best litigator in the
that's the
country?
thing. That's where I can't wrap my head around, because
don't
it's
know.
like if I say, look, I think we are the best SEO agency. I get it. I'm biased, whatever the fuck, right? But if I feel that way, why wouldn't I come to conferences? Why wouldn't I speak? Why wouldn't I have this podcast? Why wouldn't I sponsor events? It's like, oh, well, no, we're so good that we don't do that. Like, that's the equivalent. That to me, that is literally the equivalent. Everybody knows that I don't agree. And it's tough because, look, most of our clients are trial lawyers. So,
Really?
1,000%. And they come to us because they're not willing to put their face on a billboard and they want to generate cases so that they don't have to keep paying the 30, 40, 50% fee, right? So I'm not trying to like piss anyone off, but if a client says to me, should I do billboards or not? I'm going to say every single time, yes, absolutely, go do the billboards. There are exceptions. There are trial lawyers that will do the billboards and they just do it in a way that is authentic to them.
Correct.
And doesn't feel like they're an ambulance chaser and all of that. But I do think that trial lawyers need to give that notion up. And I also get that a lot of trial lawyers are like, well, I'm not going to do billboards because I don't want to be a volume firm. But if you want the big cases, they're going to come from the volume.
Just refer them out.
Like, yeah, you can refer
I refer
out.
out a lot.
I mean, I have a client that I won't name. A lot of people know who this client is, but most of the cases we generate for him, he's referring them out.
Mm-hmm.
He's just looking for.
He's fishing.
He's fishing, and then
There's nothing wrong with that.
And the other thing is that by referring those cases out, what that means is that he's also going to get referrals back from the non-trial firms.
And a referral check, which can pay his marketing.
Absolutely. It keeps the lights on while, and you could do the same thing with billboards. Now, if somebody says to me, look, I don't want that type of call volume. I don't want the headache. I get it. But if the only reason you're not doing it is because there's this stigma, I just don't, I just think people have to get over it. And I hope that the newer generation, the younger generation of lawyers that have access to so much information, social media, so many freaking conferences, like I could never go home. Like if I just wanted to, I could just jump from conference to conference.
Here's what those trial lawyers are missing. You might be okay right now, but in 10, 15 years, with lawyers like me and Top Down, all these guys that market, we're going to blow you out of the water. And your referrals are going to dry up. Why? Because the lawyer buddies that were sending you cases are now 60, 70 years old. They're going to fade out with you.
But they'll be new. I don't know that I agree with that, but.
How are you going to get the younger attorneys? Younger attorneys are looking for lawyers on Instagram. They're looking for lawyers on TikTok. When they come to conferences, I've had this before, and I'm not going to name the attorney, but, oh, you should send all these types of cases to this lawyer. I'm like, why? Well, he's the best in the country. Well, he started somewhere. Why do I have to give to him? They've just been so used to lawyers just kicking them the cases and kicking them a referral check. Those days are not going to stand forever because, and here's why I say this all the time. People are like, oh, you're not worried about other attorneys? I said, I'm not. But here's who I am scared of. You know who I'm scared of the most?
Me?
Besides you. That 16-year-old boy or girl in high school right now who's using AI for everything. In 10 years, they're going to come blow me out of the water. That's who scares me. These young kids now who are using this technology day to day, every day, are going to be so well versed in it that when they become lawyers in 10, 15 years, that's who should scare you. There's a saying we had growing up. What you eat don't make me shit. Okay, it's one of my favorite
I've
sayings.
never heard this before.
Right. What you eat don't make me shit. And what that means is what you do does not affect me.
I get what you mean.
So why are you guys mad at Top Dog? Like, I just don't get it, Maria. Like,
No, I know. I don't get it. I don't get it either, but to each their own.
But I think Top Dog is a microcosm of a broader issue with the legal world that we need to change. And I think lawyers need to just, get their panties out of a bunch and just let lawyers be lawyers and shut up.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for...
Can I do a mic drop?
No. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You are welcome.
I appreciate it.
Do I get a discount on the next month bill?
Absolutely not. You get an extra bill. Thank you so much to Mo for everything he shared with us today. If you found this story valuable, please share it with someone you want to see succeed. Subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave a 5-star review. I promise I'll stop asking for the 5-star reviews if we start getting more. It does go a long way to help others discover the show.